So, in non Oilers related news, the Calgary Flames finally had their first home game of the season against the Columbus Blue Jackets a few days ago. And so, that really, this particular season, that could only mean one thing. That was going to be the Johnny Gaudreau Memorial Night that Flames fans have been waiting so long to officially have. And so I have talked about this previously. I did previously mention Johnny Gaudreau's passing. Even if you're not a Flames fan or a Blue Jackets fan, or even if you absolutely hated having to watch your team play Johnny Gaudreau, because for a lot of years he just lit the lamp every single time that you had to play him. He was just dropping daggers every single time. Even under those circumstances, there could be no understatement to exactly how sad it was to see that Johnny Gaudreau and his brother passed away. In particular, the way that it happened. Happened during the summer, at a time when really these players, they should be training, they should be focused on the next season. In the case of the Gaudreau brothers, they were in New Jersey for their, I believe it was New Jersey. They were in New Jersey for their sister's wedding, of all things. And then some drunk just comes along and just mows them down and just ends it all, and leaves, in the words of their father, leaves sons without their father, leaves fathers without their sons. And really for what? For nothing. And that was really what makes the entire thing so utterly frustrating, is just, frankly, just the futility of it. And the senselessness of it. I mean, this is the way that these things always are. There is no such thing as a drunk driving death that has ever made a lick of sense. But that's all beside the point. I mean, there's no words for it, of course. But of course there are pictures. And pictures, of course, are worth 1,000 words. And there was actually one picture in particular that I saw from that Johnny Gaudreau Memorial evening that really made me want to talk about, just what an absolute, not just the scope of the loss, of the Gaudreau brothers, but maybe to take a moment to focus on something that we thankfully still have. And that is the absolute, national, international treasure of a human being that is Lanny McDonald. And so I'm going to include this photo as part of the thumbnail for this video. And I'm going to get teared up even while I sit here and talk about it. But the photo was basically, it's Lanny McDonald, and he's holding Johnny Gaudreau's son, also named Johnny, so Johnny Jr. Johnny Jr. is less than a year old. And so Lanny McDonald is holding Johnny Jr. in this photo. Johnny Jr. is asleep in Lanny McDonald's arms, basically. And Lanny McDonald has the most solemn look on his face. And he is kind of trying to avoid the camera. I think that he's aware that there's a camera on him in that moment. He's kind of trying to avoid it. But you can tell that his focus is on Johnny Jr. and the kind of life that Johnny Jr. is going to have ahead of him now. The life of a son who's lost his father. I mean, children need their parents very much. Boys need their fathers very much, in particular. I honestly do believe that. And so there is going to be an absence in Johnny Jr.'s life that really it won't ever be filled. Just because Johnny Jr. is less than a year old. Even the number of memories that you could expect that he would have of his father are going to be very few. And the look on Lanny McDonald's face is one of the accepting of a responsibility. Not just a responsibility in that moment, but I honestly do kind of believe in that moment that he's holding this kid and he's thinking to himself, what can I do? You know, every day or any day from this day forward to try to give whatever I can, to try to fill the void that this child is going to have in his life. And the interesting thing about it, the most, the most stark thing about it is that that's really not up to, it's not really a responsibility that Lanny McDonald has to take on, if indeed that's what he's doing. I mean, there are other people that are going to step up and try to fulfill the role that Johnny Gaudreau will not be able to fill in his son's life. He still has at least one grandfather. I believe that he does have two. But I do very much like this idea that this kid will, almost have like a third surrogate grandfather of a sorts in Lanny McDonald. And you couldn't ask for any better than that. And I think that God willing, if God is kind, I would like to think that for a very long time, let's all just hope that for a very long time, from this point forward, that Lanny McDonald could always be just a phone call away, when Johnny Jr. needs somebody, to fulfill that need, that his father won't be there to fulfill any longer. I do understand that, in the sense that some people say it, may you live forever is actually, is frequently often intended as a curse. But I for the life of me, I do wish that Lanny McDonald, could live forever, and that we as a country, hockey fans as a whole, regardless of country, that we would never be without him. Sadly, I think we all understand that that's not to be. But God, what a wonderful world that would be. But for a man with a mustache as great as Lanny McDonald's is, for the man himself to be greater than that mustache, I mean, God, what an absolute gem of a human being. National treasure, international treasure, world treasure. I'm not looking forward to the day that we're going to be without him, and I hope that at least Johnny Gaudreau Jr. Will not have to face that for a very long